Keith Haring wrote this in 1978 when he was just 20 years old. The silicon computer chip has become the new life form. Eventually, the only worth of man will be to service and serve the computer. Are we there? In a lot of ways we are. If the computer continues to make the important decisions, store information beyond our mental capabilities, and program physical things, machines, what is the role of the human being? To service our computer? And what is the role of an artist? Should the situation be resisted or accepted? This is a theme he would come back to time and time again. What is the role of the artist? We'll get to that in a little bit. Do computers have any sense of aesthetics? Can an aesthetic pattern be programmed and fed into a computer so that it reasons and makes decisions based on a given aesthetic? Why not? He goes on to say, if humans are expendable, then emotions, enjoyment, indulgence, creative aesthetic, and personality of human beings are expendable. That passage came from this book, Keith Haring Journals, where he documented his ideas in life from 1977 to 1989. I cheated, I printed these out. I'm not actually reading out of the books directly. The whole reason for this video was basically that single quote. I couldn't get it out of my head. I couldn't believe that somebody in 1978, this kid, this 20-year-old kid, before, the advent of the internet, the modern internet that we know today, before social media, certainly before AI that we've been experiencing right now, could have written something like that. And that he was already thinking this way. As much as we think that this is something brand new and something that has never been experienced, the fear and uncertainty and doubt around it is definitely something that has been persistent throughout history. Now, maybe, I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe this really is a true inflection point. Maybe this is totally different. But I think looking at it through the lens of people who have experienced the same sort of fear, the same sort of uncertainty, is helpful in addressing our own today. All right, here's a quick disclaimer. I'm not personally against AI in general. I use it on a daily basis. I'm fascinated by it. I think it will reshape and improve lots of elements of work and business. I've seen it happen already. And I think used effectively, it offers a great opportunity in lots of ways. But exploring it in this way has really quelled some of my own fears around it. I struggled making this video mainly just because there's so much to unpack. There's so much about Keith Haring's life and his work and his art and his impact that I'm just not going to touch on here. Really, what we're just going to focus on here is talking about his underlying philosophy, this connection to technology, and just focusing on some of his work, not all of it. There's a lot. Go out and explore it for yourself.
I guess it's about what I think is the biggest problem facing man now is the keeping up ideologically with where technology is going and keeping some sense of yourself at the same time.
All right, let's go back to early in his career, to the place where Keith Haring first developed his underlying philosophy, something he referred to as the line.
I think it's more important to keep coming up with new images and things that were never made before.
I don't think anyone did at that time that what we were doing was in any way going to be important or influential or going to have some effect on all of our lives or on the lives of other people in the city.
His underlying philosophy was derived from a book called The Artist's Spirit by Robert Henry, which he read while he was still in art school. Here's the opening to the book. Art, when really understood, is the province of every human being. It is simply a question of doing things, anything, well. It's not an outside extra thing. When the artist is alive in any person, whatever his kind of work may be, he becomes an inventive, searching, daring, self-expressive creature. He becomes interesting to other people. He disturbs, upsets, enlightens, and opens ways for a better understanding. Where those who are not artists are trying to close the book, he opens it, shows there are still more pages possible. Haring really bought into this big time.
It's not for the museum, it's for the people.
He believed art was for everybody. It should be public and free and accessible.
My philosophy was always that art really could communicate to larger numbers of people instead of the elitist group of people that could afford it and quote-unquote understand it.
He created over 5,000 public chalk drawings in the New York City subways. He would go to protests and hand out posters, one time making over 14,000 in one go. He made huge public installations working with children to create them. He did over 50 public murals. He created statues. He would hand out pins he created for free to people on the street. He turned his galleries into huge parties, not just to view the art, but to dance and celebrate. He intentionally capped the price of his work when being sold, and he opened the Pop Shop, which offered his work in the form of inexpensive merchandise so anyone who wanted it could purchase. This is really counter to what the art world had experienced up to that point. I really fuck with this idea that art is for everybody, and it's not just some exclusive thing that is only privy to the people who quote unquote understand it. You know what I mean? And I think that if Keith Haring had held the belief that it was this exclusive thing, he probably would have never started, right? And I think attacking that idea and how he contributed to broadening the scope of who can be an artist and what art is I think is really important.
You're expressing yourself, being whatever parts of yourself that is, whether that is complete accuracy or more humanly making diversions, or not making everything exactly symmetrical, or everything is not going to be exactly balanced 100%, but it will still have that kind of sort of consistency that is as consistent as you are as a person.
Another piece of his underlying philosophy was that the work he created should be done spontaneously. Each work should be unique. And again, I think we can connect this back to the artist's spirit. Here's another line from the book. Don't confuse a drawing with a map. Lines are results. Do not draw them for themselves. Your drawing should be an expression of your spiritual sight. You should draw not a line, but an inspired line. Drawing is not following a line on the model. It is drawing your sense of the thing. Reality is obtained not by imitation, but by producing the sense of nature. Again, Haring took this to heart. This idea of an inspired line, which is not about the end result as much as it's about the artist making work in a way that expresses their sense of something, rather than just a recreation of it.
Every piece is sort of an adventure, or is an invention as you go.
He didn't plan his work, he didn't erase, and he left imperfections in it. Here's another journal entry. I paint differently every day, every hour, every minute, every instant. My paintings are a record of a given space of time. They are recorded patterns of thought. He was changing as a person through different life experiences, and his work represented that. It's like that saying, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and it's not the same man. He goes on to write, I can paint spontaneously without worrying if it looks good, and I can let my movement and my instant reaction/response control the piece, control my energy, if there is any control at all. So he really thought that being spontaneous and making work that was done spontaneously, it wasn't just about like pure expression, but in fact, it was this indicator or proof that you are changing as an artist, you're changing as a human, you're changing as an individual throughout time. Because when you're acting spontaneously, when you're doing something in the act, you are creating something that is both a reflection of yourself, which is your own individual expression, but also the world around you. And then as you evolve as an artist, as you evolve as a person, as you change and the world changes, you're acknowledging that these things change, right? You're acknowledging that nothing is static. Everything is changing, everything is evolving. And so your work, yourself, your conception of the world, how you interpret it, and what you put back into it, all changes.
In some ways, you're in a heightened state of awareness because the amount of attention you have to pay to every move that you're making, and sort of the complete synchronicity of your body and your eyes. Maybe it's a level of unconcentration so that you have enough room to not think about what you're doing, so that it just happens automatically.
Another piece of his philosophy ties back to this idea of individuality. He writes, no artists are part of a movement unless they are followers, and then they are unnecessary in doing unnecessary art. If they are exploring in an individual way with different ideas, the idea of another individual, they are making a worthy contribution. But as soon as they call themselves followers or accept the truths they have not explored as truths, they are defeating the purpose of art as an individual expression. Art is art. Another excerpt. It is important to the future existence of the human race that we understand the importance of the individual and the reality that we are all different, all individuals, all changing and all contributing to the whole as individuals, not as groups or products of mass identity. He goes on, individuality is the enemy of this mass society. Individuality speaks for the individual and makes him a significant factor. Art is individuality. I feel this is the underlying message of modern art. It is the lesson that must not be ignored. It is what modern art has been screaming at us since its beginnings. It is what all art has been saying since the beginning of time. One more bit on this from his journals. The things that are copied are usually redrawn, and therefore the whole power of the line is lost. This is very distressing to me, since I believe the very essence of my work rests in the concept of the gesture and the spirit of the line to express individuality.
I mean, I can't talk about what I just did because I don't know what I just did, you know. I can talk about drawing when, I thought we were going to sit down and we'll tape all those things when I just talk. Right? Yeah. I don't like to talk about what I'm doing when I'm doing it because I don't know what I'm doing when I do it.
Basically, he's saying that the lines he drew or painted are representative of his individuality. They needed to flow out of him as opposed to being premeditated. But importantly, they aren't meant to be purely expressive. They had another factor which gave them their power. And that leads to the last part of his philosophy, which is around the question of what is the role of the artist?
What I'm obsessed with at this time is trying to figure out why I'm an artist, and if I'm an artist, why I'm an artist, and also becoming aware of and very interested in what's happening on the streets of New York.
On June 13th, 1984, he writes this: "An artist is a spokesman for a society at any given point in history. His language is determined by his perception of the world we all live in. He is a medium between what is and what could be. If an artist is really honest to himself and his culture, he lets the culture speak through him and imposes his own ego as little as possible. If there's no mystery, there's only propaganda. People always ask me, where do you get all these ideas? I say, I'm not sure. I only know that I'm living now in the 20th century and I absorb information at an increasingly rapid rate. We all do. Information is coming from all kinds of sources, new sources every day. Sound familiar?"
I mean, I think the role of an artist in any society is to be a kind of antagonist, but especially in a conservative society or in a politically oppressive society, which is increasingly more what we're living in all the time.
Later in his career, 1987, he wrote this: "It's about understanding not only the works, but the world we live in and the times we live in, and being a kind of mirror of that. The line determines the work. The philosophy and attitude of the early works, i.e. the subway drawings, public murals, graphic contribution, determine the publicness of the work. Popular culture ingests it whether I like it or not, but of course I liked it. Because that was the whole intention of the art, to affect and enter the culture by understanding it and reflecting it, to contribute to and broaden the concept of art and the artist as much as possible. Artists help us understand ourselves and our times through pictures, parables, and actions." And then again on June 26, 1987, "I feel it is my duty to spend the rest of my life trying to understand what the role of an artist should be, to be situated so that I am in total harmony with myself and the world. My other responsibility is to make these discoveries known to the best of my ability through my work, i.e. the things I create." So it wasn't just pure expression. Instead, it was being truly connected to a moment in time, being out in the world, an interpreter of the times. Outside in the world, touching a little grass here. And only in being truly connected to this was he able to channel it, passing through the filter of his own individual experience and unique lens into his work. From there, it was available so that other people could draw their own interpretations from it. That is the role of the artist.
People don't understand that there could possibly be any other motivation to do something that reaches a lot of people, or to communicate in a different way, in a new medium, in a new technique.
Here's another line from the book: "I am merely a middleman trying to bring ideas together. I have nothing specifically to communicate but this, that I have created a reality that is not complete until it is met with the ideas of another human being, or I suppose an animal, including myself, and that the reality is not complete until it is experienced. It has infinite meanings because it will be experienced differently by every individual. This is my message. The medium is unimportant." All right, I swear, I'm gonna connect this back to AI. In June of 1989, he found himself in Rome.
Any opportunity I get to come to Italy, I do.
And in the same day, visiting the Sistine Chapel while spending most of the day working on a computer with the most modern computer graphics painting tools at the time. He writes, "It was great to be in this ancient city and be working with super high technology on the computer graphics. Every time I use a graphic paint box, I rethink the whole concept of an image. The relationship between the physical gesture of drawing and the resultant image has changed. It is totally abstract now, with very little relation to the original act of drawing or painting. Images can be moved, stretched, multiplied, shrunk, enlarged, recolored, altered, rotated, flipped, digitized, edited, refined, and obliterated in fractions of a second. The image has been reduced to electronic information, programmable, that is totally lucid and malleable. Illusion is everything. It's only electrons and light." This is a continuation of the ideas he wrote about in 1983. The rate of change is accelerating at an increasingly rapid speed, and the artist has to change with it. Contemporary artists cannot ignore the existence of media and technology, and at the same time, cannot abandon ritual and popular culture. The image maker may be more important now than at any other time in the history of man because he possesses qualities that are uniquely human. The human imagination cannot be programmed by a computer. Let me repeat that. The human imagination cannot be programmed by a computer. Our imagination is our greatest hope for survival. So I want to connect these two ideas here. That as technology advances, it adds additional layers of abstraction to the original physical nature of creating something. Meaning, first it meant you had to dip a paintbrush in paint and physically move the brush on a canvas. Then use a mouse to click around on the screen to paint something. And today, there's another layer of abstraction, where you aren't even clicking. You were just typing words to generate an image. So the sorts of ways by which work is created introduces new mediums. The only thing that then separates what he called unnecessary art or making a worthy contribution was the human imagination. Again, the medium is unimportant. The message is the message. Now, I have no idea how Keith Haring would actually feel about AI-generated work, but the line, as he would call it today, isn't a literal one. If you're able to create something which comes from your imagination, and more importantly, is tied in to a philosophy and unique view of the world, even if it's facilitated by technology, I think that's okay. But if you take an idea which isn't your own, wasn't produced by your own imagination, isn't connected to your unique experiences, your own sense of style and taste, if you are simply duplicating or trying to recreate something without an idea attached to it, then you're creating unnecessary art and you're not making a worthy contribution. It's pretty simple. Maybe this is what today we would call slop.
It's this timeless, universal kind of thing where I was trying to, I think, use things that cut through all of culture and all of history.
Now, outside of the artist spirit, there was another text that helped build Haring's foundational philosophy. It was actually a lecture given by the artist Jean Dubuffet in 1951. Here's how Dubuffet opened the talk. I have the impression that a complete liquidation of all the ways of thinking, whose sum constituted what has been called humanism and has been fundamental for our culture since the Renaissance, is now taking place, or at least going to take place soon. Now, he says it kind of funny. After all, this was 1951, but basically, he was concerned with the same thing we're talking about here, the loss of human agency with the advancement of society. He goes on to say, art then returns to its real function, which is much more significant than creating shapes and colors agreeable for the so-called pleasure of the eyes. I do not find this function, assembling colors and pleasing arrangements, very noble. If painting was only that, I should not lose 1 hour of my time to this activity. Art addresses itself to the mind and not to the eyes. It has always been considered in this way by primitive peoples, and they are right. Art is a language, an instrument of knowledge, an instrument of expression. So the same concept, art being connected to something deeper, isn't a new thing. It is primitive and timeless. Haring echoes this again in his journals. The need to separate ourselves and connect ourselves to our environment, world, is a primary need of all human beings. Art becomes the way we define our existence as human beings. He goes on. These works by Dubuffet and Henry both were written decades before me, but each is relevant to contemporary art and I presume will be relevant forever. Some things don't change. Everything goes in circles and repetition is a law of nature. There is a common denominator that runs through all times, all people. And then again, once more from Haring. The connection to primitive, I hate that word, culture, is the key to understanding how and why my art became completely acceptable and quite natural in an age that finds itself technologically and ideologically very far removed from these so-called primitive cultures. Art, after all, is something that is at the very basis of human existence. I think what this is all pointing to is that this shit has been going on since the dawn of human existence. We're confronted with the realities of the world, ever-changing and evolving, and art and artists are there to help make sense of it and direct our attention to it. The same things we are dealing with today, the same fear and uncertainty has always been present.
That there's a lot of information that's really important to be passed on to people, and that if it's done in a way that's interesting or is good quality, then it makes people even more interested in the thing that they're seeing or that they're learning.
All right, so what does this all mean? Why is this relevant, and how can it help us today? I can only tell you how I'm interpreting it. I think maybe now more than ever, or maybe not, it is time to think like an artist. After all, art is for everyone. It's not this exclusive thing only some people are entitled to participate in. But if I want to make worthy contributions, I need to be in the world, having my own experiences, paying attention to how they affect me, and forming my own individuality. This means paying attention to what I pay attention to. Being mindful of when and where I'm outsourcing my decision-making. Like even for this video, I wrote it myself, I read the books, but AI assisted in the research. Like it found that talk from Jean Dubuffet for me. It helped compile a list of all of Haring's public murals and grabbed links to images of them. And I'll probably have it write the title to the video too. And I know that if I had just fed AI some quotes from the books and gave it a guideline, it probably could have written a pretty good script, decent enough. Maybe you wouldn't have even noticed. And I know for a fact that it would have done it in a fraction of the time it took me to write this. But I would have learned nothing. As in, I would have learned nothing about the process of making a video like this and how it affected me along the way. My own taste and style would not have evolved in any way my understanding of these concepts would not have been meaningful or impacted me. I wouldn't have changed at all. Maybe I would have learned about how to mass produce a video like this, but that would have simply erased the individuality from it, and my line would disappear. And I know the things which can be automated will be automated. Leveraging tools to scale output is inevitable. It's happening all the time. But if I'm the one directing this output, if I need to tap into my own taste or expertise to guide these automations, and I'm the one who gets to judge the quality of their outputs, if I haven't developed those skills, I'm not gonna be able to create anything worth creating. At best, I'll be making a knockoff or an abstraction of something else. So now is not a time to shrug and say, oh well, I guess that's it. We figured it all out. We have the final answer. Now is the time to double down on all the things that make us human. AI has never sat in a movie theater. It's never fallen in love. It's never had its heart broken. It's never been a parent. It's never had a night out with friends or been to a great party. It's never seen a sunset. And if we think those things don't matter and have no material impact on what we put out into the world, then I think the job of the artist isn't done.